What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening, although early on the West Coast. Man, there has been a lot of news today coming out of Santa Clara. We've got Trent Williams, CMC, Debo Samuel, for those of you that haven't caught that news that broke in the last hour or so. So there is plenty to talk about. However, I want to give the hour or so that I'll be live to y'all, which means the link is pinned to the top of the chat. I want to hear what you have to say. Season kicks off in 2 days. 49ers play in less than a week. Everybody's back. Should be an exciting time. And I think it is. I think it's a very exciting time. I'm looking forward to week one. I'm looking forward to this season. And it feels so much better. The prediction of 12-5 for me feels so much better knowing that everybody is back in the building. I always thought it would happen, but you just never know. I mean, these things drug on for way longer than they probably should have, but we're here now. Team is together. There's plenty to discuss. So if you want to jump in, link pinned to the top of the chat, go ahead and do so. And if not, then I'll just blab away until I have nothing else to talk about. That being said, we'll get to it all, and we'll get to it next. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports. We are giving you our take down to the last second, and it's open mic night, just a few short days away from the NFL season kicking off, a couple short days, and a few short days away from the 49ers kicking off Monday Night Football. Also behind enemy lines tomorrow night. Can't wait for that. So yeah, a couple things happened today. Trent Williams back in the building. Restructured his deal, got 2 years fully guaranteed, around $48 million fully guaranteed. Still technically on a 3-year deal. And then we'll see where Trent Williams is at after 2 years. Sounds like he might want to do this again in 2 years if he's still playing at a high level. Wouldn't be too mad at that. Debo Samuel restructured his contract today, converting his overall salary into a signing bonus. That does a couple of interesting things. It gives him money up front. It also means that they're taking that money that was going to be made this year and converting it to a signing bonus, which means they'll pay out on that over the next couple years. And I find this interesting because this is something very similar to what they did with Eric Armstead just a year ago. And, you know, I think a lot of people, myself included, you see that news come across with Debo Samuel and you say, hey, that means he's going to be here next year. And maybe that's the case, but this restructure does not mean he's going to be here. I'm sure that's how it's going to be spun, but we can't forget that Eric Armstead did the exact same thing around this time last year. In fact, I think he might have done his after week one, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like September 9th, and we saw that Eric Armstead's no longer here. So I'm not saying Debo's going to be gone. I'm just saying that what happened today doesn't mean that he's going to be here. He easily could still be gone, but maybe he will be here. I don't know. I'm just saying one thing doesn't mean another. But I don't know if you guys have noticed. I mean, you've been rocking with me for a while. You know that I take this set very seriously. I absolutely love it. But I don't know if you noticed a new addition, and I hinted to this on social media a couple times. But I've got a Last Second Sports branded helmet. This thing is so sick. Look at that. You got the mic built into the visor. You got the 1 second up there on the top. You got the metallic blue face mask, the flat black helmet with the Last Second Sports. And of course, you know, it has to say, it's hard to see here. Let me see if I can move this down to the last second. Oh, this thing is gorgeous. It's an actual wearable helmet. I'm not going to put it on now, but it's a legit helmet. And it is now a part of the display. I had to show that thing off. I was very excited about it. In fact, it had taken a little while to make. So the excitement kind of wore down. But as I saw that they were making it Green Gridiron, the guys over at Green Gridiron, you can check out their YouTube channel. It's massive. They actually built this and made a video of him building it. It's pretty sweet. But anyways, this is the new edition. And then they also sent me this guy as well. Just a little mini helmet, custom red visor, custom red face mask. And I want to shout them out because they are a sponsor of the channel now as well. If you want to get a custom mini helmet like this, you can make your own if you're going to get it signed or just have it as a display. You can use the link in the description, promo code LSS, and get yourself a discount. These things are only like $50, $60, something like that. And if you want to go crazy like this, I mean, this is going to be a lot more. You can do custom team full helmets, custom team small helmets. You can also do, if you have a business, you can do a custom helmet for yourself, however you want to do it. But shout out to Green Gridiron. They made this thing. I definitely paid for that out of my own pocket. But I love their product so much. I asked if they had some sort of sponsorship, and they do. So if you want to check them out, you want to get something custom made, you definitely can do that. Link is in the description, and they do a fantastic job. So I was excited about that, had to talk about it. That being said, I do have 3 people waiting backstage, so I want to get to them. We're going to go to Luis, Alan. It might be Lewis, actually. We'll go with Lewis. Lewis, Alan, and Eric. That's the order. Let's see if Lewis is available because he's not currently on camera. We'll see. What's up, Lewis? Lewis isn't ready. Oh, Lewis is ready. Hold on. We'll get back to Lewis. Hold on, Lewis. Here we come. What's up, Lewis?
Hey, what's up, Jesse? How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. How are you? You at work right now?
Yes, sir.
You got
Trying to get my last second to the point. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Hey,
Nice.
and the helmet is clean, bro. I like that helmet. It's clean. I saw the video. But no,
dude, you saw them making the video?
Yeah,
like you saw it on their website?
Clean. Yeah, that was clean.
Sick.
But no, 2 things I want to get off my chest real quick, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Number 1, I'm very skeptical and very how do you say? I'm very nervous because I know that this is our last shot that we technically have. We're pretty much all bought in for this year. And I don't know if you watched Grant's video from earlier today that he got a tip from somebody from the front office saying that heads are going to be rolling if it's Super Bowl or bust this year. And I kind of want your take on that. Who do you think is the one that that will foresee who's going to be going not on this team either this year, either next year or the year after? Do you understand?
Okay. Are you talking about player wise, or are you talking about front office wise, or both?
Front office wise, both. Like, do you think it's either John or Kyle?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see Grant's video. I did see his tweet, however, and I actually, for a while, have heard something similar, but I've heard it's just John Lynch. So I don't know. Again, these things it's so tough because most of what I hear and what I trust, I'll put it out there at some point. But this one, it's like I've heard it. I'm not so sure, but I've heard it's just John Lynch. The whole thing's tough because we know that Kyle hired John. So if you're going to get rid of John, why wouldn't you move on from Kyle? But I really think that when a team is in turmoil a little bit and they are trying to move on from front office members, if they like the coach, which I think they do, I think they love Kyle. Remember, they extended him the first time and didn't extend John Lynch. So my guess is, my guess is John Lynch would be the one that would kind of be scapegoated for the year if they don't win.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. And then, okay, thank you for answering that. And then my second one is honestly, how do you think we could actually get over the hump this year?
Yeah, I mean, I do think they can. They have the team to do it. I think when you're as close as they've been, it's tough to continuously get up there. But if there's a team that can overcome it, I do believe it's the San Francisco 49ers. I think the NFC's caught up to them a bit, but I don't think there's a team that's clearly better than the 49ers. I think roster-wise, the 49ers compete with anybody. And if they make it to the Super Bowl, hell, as long as you're not playing Kansas City, you got a real shot at things. And Kansas City themselves are trying to go for 3 in a row, and that's something that hasn't been done in the Super Bowl era. So, yeah, I think that there is a possibility. I wouldn't bet on it. I mean, my guess is they don't make it that far. I think they'll probably lose either divisional or NFC championship, but can they? Yeah, I think they can. I definitely think they can.
Honestly, I want to be honest with you. Even if I want it to be KC, you know why? I want to get back. I want to get back. I want to get back to see how they see it, how it feels to lose to us. Finally, I don't know. That's just me. But I know you do got other callers and other takers. But I just didn't want to. I just wanted to ask you one more question.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
haven't seen it. I haven't seen a video of you predicting the predicting the season schedule of how many losses and how many wins we'll be doing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that? I know for the
12 and
season,
5.
12 and
Yeah,
5.
12 and
Okay.
5. So when I initially went through it, I had us at 13 and 4. And I did this last year as well. I had us at 13 and 4, but there's always one loss that you just can't account for. So I always give the 49ers one more loss than what I think, because it's kind of easy when games are 50-50 to lean towards the team that you prefer. So I want to always give them one more loss. And so I had them at 13 and 4. I'll give them a loss I didn't expect. And that means I have them at 12 and 5.
Oh yeah, I love that. Hey, I kind of got us 13 and 4 this year,
Mm-hmm.
but I agree with you. That's a good one. But no, I know you got other takers. By the way, my name is Luis. It's Luis, by
Luis,
the way.
damn it. I said Luis and then I switched it to Lewis. I should have just went with my
Yeah,
gut, man. Golly. All
it's all
right. All
good.
right,
I'm
Luis.
just,
That's my fault.
hey man, it's good. Don't worry about it. Next time you see me on next time.
I
But
got
man,
you.
you
I
keep
got
doing
you.
your thing. You keep doing your
Thanks,
thing.
bro.
You, Coach Grant, and Ryan, man, you guys keep doing a good job, and everyone subscribe, man. Get to the
Thank you. Thank you,
last
bro.
second, man. Have
I
a good day.
appreciate you too, man. This man's over here working hard. He had the glasses on. I don't know if he does like woodworking, some sort of machinery, but he's definitely grinding it out. Dave says, I've been saying trade Kyle long before it was cool. You have. You definitely have. Dave says 48 hours from actual NFL game. Stoked. And by the way, I don't know how many people realize this. There's a Friday night game as well. You've got Green Bay versus the Eagles, which is a hell of a matchup. A lot of implications potentially towards the number 1 seed with those two teams. You also have on Sunday, you have the Lions and you have the Rams. That'll have some good implications. But Friday night, you've got Eagles, Packers. That's a really, really fun game. So I'm also very stoked. And Dave says, helmet is dope. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate you. And then Matt says, Debo restructured, saved 16.4 in cap space. Yeah, I just talked about it in the open. I think a lot of people assume that means that Debo is going to be here next year. I think that's a fair assumption. The problem is they did this exact same thing last year, and they did it with Eric Armstead, and I think they did it after week 1. So just something to keep in mind. Anyways, we're going to go to Alan, Eric, Niner Faithful, and then Jose. See if Alan is ready to rock. What's up, Alan?
Hey Jesse, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been working. I been lacking not watching your channel, man. Been busy.
I
You know how
feel
it
it.
goes.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, do you have any concerns with us having this injury bug early so far? Or you have no worries at all?
No. I definitely have worries. Not because of the injury bug early. I mean, nothing is super serious and lasting all season, but just statistically speaking, the 49ers were the healthiest they had been in over 10 years last year. They were one of the healthier teams in the NFL after, for many years, not being one of the healthiest teams. And so I think most likely they're going to regress back to the mean, maybe not as injured as they had been in the past, but I think they'll regress a little bit. And, how do they deal with that? You add in the rest factor or lack of rest factor. I think it definitely adds up for a team being a little bit more injured. The hope is that you don't have those long-term injuries and you don't have those season-ending type of injuries at the wrong time of the season. So yeah, I think definitely you're going to have more injuries than last year, and it's unfortunately a part of football. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just a little worried. You know how teams come out from the Super Bowl year. You know, everybody says Super Bowl hangover and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just precautious on those injuries because like you said, we was pretty healthy all last year. Just, I don't know. I hope it continues staying that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen some disastrous seasons. We saw the 2020, where the season was over before it started. Luckily, this year they're playing the Jets, but they're doing it at home, so they don't have to worry about that stupid turf. But yeah, I mean, injuries can happen for sure.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I have us with a harder record, like a 9-8 record, based
Mm.
off how I feel with injuries. And just, I don't know. Like you said, like, you know, the Niners could be just overlooking teams throughout the season, trying to worry about, you know, the next team up and stuff. So I got us like 9-8, maybe 10-7 ish.
10 and
But I
7.
do
I
see
mean,
us
10 and
making a
7
playoff
still
run.
might get you in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, especially with the NFC not being as stacked as the AFC. I could see us most likely being either the fourth seed to maybe the sixth seed into the playoffs. The
Yeah,
team
that's
that worries
fair.
me the
That's fair.
most right now is Detroit. Is either Detroit or Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philadelphia is interesting because they added Vic Fangio. Their coaching staff's much better. I think their coaching staff held them back last year. Their coaching staff is much better.
I agree.
I still got to see it on the field, though. I really got to see it on the field. I'm not quite sure who they are yet as a team, and I don't trust Sirianni at all.
I don't either. But man, Jesse, you know, if they hit full stride, that they're it's gonna be a hard team to stop.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, look at the NFC. You've got the Eagles, you got the Packers, you've got the Rams. I think the Seahawks are better than most people give them credit for. You've got the Lions. Didn't even mention them. Obviously, the 49ers. So, yeah, the NFC is tougher this year for sure.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the Lions as much as everybody's thinking. I just
Mhm.
go back to golfing on LA and how he still has that uh, he has that Jimmy G thing where he gets if he gets hit a couple of times he gets a little scared about getting the ball out early or like freaking out. That's
He
one thing I've been
panics.
noticing. Like yeah, he panics a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's
panics.
why
He
I don't know
panics.
why I like the Lions team surrounding him. I just don't
Mhm.
trust him as a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Goff, but I will say if Goff is protected and they've got one of the better offensive lines, he certainly can sling that pill. So, it's just a matter of him staying
I
protected.
agree.
If you can make it muddy, it can be a problem for him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Jesse, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too, man.
All right. All right. There goes Alan. There goes Alan. Uh, Butch Bonner. I got to believe that's not a real name. Says 49ers going to be awful this season. How try and sacrifice your rookie and fail? All right. First of all, if that's what you're talking about, that's nasty work by you. But you're a Giants fan, dude. Like, I honestly, I'm not even going to go into it with a Giants fan. I feel awful for y'all. You guys are terrible, terrible franchise. What are you doing with Danny Dimes? He's atrocious. Most likely, actually, who's your guys' backup there? Buddy that used to play for Denver and then he went to Seattle. Anyways, he'll be starting by week 8 for sure. I'm betting on it so much that I'm in a 2 quarterback league, and I already picked him up, like just as a stash guy because most likely he'll be playing Drew Lock. There we go. Yeah, Drew Lock. He was Zach Wilson before Zach Wilson. You got Drew Lock there, so like I feel like Drew Lock, Zach Wilson, and Sam Darnold are all the same guy, basically. Like they're all just like 1 degree of separation away from being the exact same player, every single one of them. So you've got one of 3 Sam Darnolds basically as your backup, and he'll probably be starting by week 8 because he's better than your starter. That's depressing. All right, we're gonna go to Eric, then Niner Faithful, then Jose, then PDX Niner, and then Eric Dane. All right, Eric Chapman, you are up now, brother. What's up, man?
How's it going, Jesse? How you doing?
Good. Been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Usually busy working when you do these open mics.
Yeah.
It's good to be back on. I wanted to go back to what you and the first caller were talking about someone in the front office, mostly John Lynch, being on the hot seat. I'm really trying to understand this. So is he on the hot seat specifically because he let the Aiyuk and Trent Williams contracts play out this long? Is Jed mad that they're spending the money and that we didn't get a trade that was suitable enough before the draft? Because outside of that, I think he's done a really good job managing this roster. It looks like this draft class, I mean, I know they haven't played a single game yet, but there's a couple players who are really promising so far. So what is exactly like the reason he specifically would be on the hot seat?
Well, so first of all, it was going off of a report that Grant had made. I'd seen the tweet. I don't know the full details of it necessarily. But what I had heard, so he's hearing that heads will roll, I guess was the wording or phrase that he used, but didn't have any specific guys. He just said heads will roll. I've heard John Lynch for a while. They just, from what I understand, it has really nothing to do with that. He just doesn't mix well anymore with kind of what they have going on with the team and moving forward. And so if they find a reason to move on, or they find a reason that they're not living up to expectation, they would happily move on from him. I don't know the ins and outs of the relationship. That's just what I've heard. And it kind of matches up with what Grant was told, but not necessarily because they're not winning. I also think that just realistically, let's just take a step back. Let's assume we've heard nothing, okay? Realistically, if a team doesn't live up to expectations, at some point people will get fired, but usually there's steps to the process. Usually it's the coach. If the GM is established, in this case, it was Kyle Shanahan that hired John Lynch. So naturally, unless you're getting rid of both, which I don't think they would do, you would get rid of John Lynch and then it would be Kyle Shanahan if things didn't turn around. But teams always find a reason as to why they're not meeting expectation. And that reason can be different every year. I think Wilkes kind of was that guy last year. This year, we'll see how it plays out. I don't necessarily know that anybody's going anywhere because I think that they're going to still be very, very competitive. But, you know, maybe it's one of those mutual things that John Lynch finally decides to go back to media and it was a mutual thing. You know what I mean?
So to me, when I heard this, I thought it was more just Jed York flexing to get a sense of urgency for this offseason because there's been so many distractions one way or another. And I think that this is the year to go all in. No better way to make that statement than saying someone's on the block or something's going to change here to get, I mean, we have the most cap space in football, that we have a lot of flexibility and a lot of optionality between now and the trade deadline. So that's how I saw it. But I don't think he'd have the balls to let him go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other part of this, right? Is you do have a regime that has put together a pretty damn good run here. So how do you just get rid of one of those guys? And I also want to be clear, what I've heard about Lynch, I've heard this for a while now. This isn't like all of a sudden I just heard it. Grant heard what he heard. I heard what I heard, and we're putting it together. It's like he heard something completely separate that's new to him. What I've heard about Lynch is this is months and months and months old. I just didn't really talk about it.
Cool, man. Well, I'll let the next person go up. Good talking to you, man.
All right, brother. You too. Thanks for supporting, man. We'll talk soon. All right, let's make sure I'm not glossing over anything. Okay. We're going to go to Jose. We're going to go to PDX Niner. Then we're going to go to Niner Faithful and then Eric. See what Jose's up to. Creating his content over in Seattle land. What's up, Jose?
Hey, Jesse. Thanks for having me up. I'm actually from California. But,
yeah, but you're a Seahawks fan though, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But okay. So Jose, we talked last week, and we talked right after the Aiyuk situation,
Yeah.
and you were saying that you would hope that Trent Williams would hold out for a little bit.
No.
But here we are. Here we are.
No, I did
Okay.
not. I did not say I hope. I said you guys need to handle that, and you guys did, which I give you credit for, because you guys are smarter than the Jets, who are taking care of their business when they trade for a player.
Yeah, you're right about that. I don't know. How does that even happen? Like, how do you trade for a player and then not re-sign them or extend them, knowing that they want an extension? And then here you go.
Because Joe definitely should not have a job as a general manager, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs in like 14 years. There's not a lot of stability. It's interesting because that fan base really, really backs Joe Douglas. They think he's just incredible,
Oh,
but I don't understand it.
I know some guys that don't, because Jets fans are good to me. They tried to warn me about Jamal Adams. I wouldn't listen, unfortunately. They were proven right.
They did have you on the Jamal Adams thing. They definitely did.
And they've given me a lot of subscribers over the years. So shout out to them.
Yeah.
I did tag you and a Jets channel in my latest tweet. So check that out. And yeah, congrats. You signed both of your guys at the last second, but you got it done. So good for you guys. Now, what's this I hear about John Lynch? Can you explain that?
Yeah, there was a report that came out today that the 49ers, Jed York, the owner, isn't happy with continuing to shell out as much money as he had and not having a Super Bowl victory at this point. The 49ers, depending on how you looked at it, they kind of caved a little bit when it came to Aiyuk and Trent. And so this is an all-in year. And so the rumor is that if for some reason they don't win a Super Bowl, that people could be in trouble.
If anyone is the reason the Niners haven't won a Super Bowl, and this is just a Seahawks fan's opinion, it's Kyle Shanahan, and I'll just leave by saying I'm glad Pearsall is all right after Saturday. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
God
absolutely, Jose. God bless. God bless you too, brother. Thank you.
Right, have a good one.
You too. Yeah, man. I'm happy that Pearsall's good as well. I'm glad that he's good as well. But yeah, you said you think it's Kyle Shanahan. I think a lot of people have that opinion outside of San Francisco and or outside of this fan base, and a lot of people within the fan base have that opinion as well. But thank you for calling in as always, man. I think it's hard because a lot of people can't see Jose, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on. You can go check out his channel, but dude, Jose is a rock star over in the Seattle community, and I love watching him. He's an inspiration. He's wheelchair bound, and he doesn't let that stop him from what he loves to do, which is talk sports. And he's a lot of fun to talk to, man. He's very fair and reasonable with his takes. So shout out to you, Jose. Per usual, appreciate you. And yeah, so all right, we're gonna go Niner Faithful, and then PDX Niner, and then Eric. All right, let's get to Niner Faithful.
Hey, what's
What's up,
going
man?
on, Jess? Nice to be on your show. Long time listener, Big Ten fan.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You born in 84?
I was 1984 is when I came in the door. So
All right. That's very well said. Are you 40 yet, or are you turning 40 later this
I
year?
just turned 40 last Tuesday, August on the 20th.
Oh,
So
nice.
Old-
The
old-
what was the date?
the 27th.
Okay.
August.
Yeah, we're all right. So we're close. We're both Leos. Right on, man.
Yep. So real quick, I don't want to beat the dead horse about the whole Grant Cohn report, but I
Yeah.
want to rewind you back a little bit to the owners' meetings when Jed York did that really awkward interview. But he talked about being, the 31st best team in the NFL because we fell short in the Super Bowl. But he talked about he is willing to spend millions of dollars to win more football games to hopefully get us over that edge. If he was to make a decision at the end of the year, if we did fall short, he's then becoming the hypocrite, I feel. And are we going to get a repeat of after the Harbaugh era where it all just came apart for years and years and years until these guys came in? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is you can't just move on from everybody after not meeting expectations. If you move on from somebody, maybe it's John. I don't think it can be Kyle. I don't think that would be fair. Kyle, yes, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Yes, that's frustrating. But at this point, you have been very, very competitive. Now, to be fair, we know that DeBartolo would have moved on by now. We get that. But this is not DeBartolo's Niners. This is not the same time. And so I don't believe that he would move on from Kyle. I think he would give Kyle at least through next year. But yeah, and it would also be hypocritical for this reason as well. Let's not forget that he, after the Super Bowl, said the season would have been a success even if they lost in the NFC Championship. So you can't then come out a couple weeks, a month later, or whatever, during the same offseason and be like, yeah, you better win a Super Bowl or else at this point. Like, I don't think those two things go together. You yourself said last year would have been successful if you would have lost in the NFC Championship. And we were all mad because we disagreed with that.
Right. And then my last question for you, and I'll let the others get on, is out of this rookie class, which it does look like it's very promising. Who's your standout for offensive player that was drafted and defensive player? Who are you kind of rooting for that takes that next step?
Yeah, I think right now the obvious choices are going to be Pooney and Renardo Green. But I think, man, there's multiple candidates. Cowings looked fantastic. I think he can make a big splash this year. If Garendo can stay healthy, I think he can be a good kick returner. And then, we still haven't seen anything from Pearsall yet. So hopefully he can get his career on track. Obviously, this was a setback on Saturday, but nothing that he could control. We're just happy he's freaking alive at this point. And it sounds like he'll be able to play football this year, which is pretty amazing in itself. So,
yeah, that was an absolute blessing. I hope for a speedy recovery for him. My guys are going to be Mustafa on defense and Jacob Cowing. I'm really hoping that he takes that next step for us. So go Niners. Keep doing what you do, Jess. Thanks for letting me come on.
thanks, brother. It's a good call. I wish, bro. I live in Florida. Like, you do realize that it's still like 90 plus degrees every single day, and I walk like 4.5 miles a day. Definitely not a spray tan. Definitely not a spray tan. So you're not very good at picking out spray tan, Steve-O. Not your best work. All right, we got PDX Niner and then Eric Dane. Oh, I thought who else has been on screen? Who the hell are you talking about? All right, we got PDX Niner and then Eric Dane.
All right.
What's up, PDX Niner?
What's up? Can you hear me?
I got you. Yes, sir.
Nice. It's cool to have a 49ers content creator with a similar sports genealogy as mine, being from the PNW and all. So it's
yeah, absolutely. Are you still in PDX?
I just put that as like a close around area. I don't want to put my actual location.
No, you don't have to. You just live in a suburb of PD. Yeah, I lived in Gresham. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yep.
Worked in Clackamas. Yep. So yeah, I get it.
My first question is doesn't the Brandon Aiyuk situation remind you of the Damian Lillard situation a ton? where the Steelers were trying to offer peanuts for Brandon Aiyuk, and the Heat was trying to offer Tyler Harrow for Lillard. It's like, what do you got? You guys are offering nothing. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it definitely did. But the difference is that Dame ended up getting traded anyways. So, that went down for sure. But yeah, man, that was interesting though, too. Like looking at where the Blazers were at versus the 49ers. It's like the 49ers need to keep this core together to try to win a Super Bowl. Really, they did the best thing for Dame. Now, unfortunately for him, they didn't do anything either. But they did the best thing for him to try to continue to compete because he wasn't going to do it with the Blazers. So it's like I was almost happy that Dame got traded for the sake of him.
Yeah, me too. It was never going to happen with Portland, unfortunately. And the NBA is a totally different beast in terms of roster structure and cap management and how players move around, obviously. But I dislike the Steelers as much as I dislike the Heat now, and well, especially their fans, right? Like they still show up in forums.
Well, I'll say this. When I went to the game this year, week 1, I really enjoyed the city and I really enjoyed their fan base. They were so nice. But on social media, their fan base is awful. Them and Dolphins fans, surprisingly, like the 2 worst fan bases I've dealt with on social media. It's kind of funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My other thing would be who was the main driver of getting Javon Hargrave, in your opinion? Was it Lynch? Like, is that like maybe part of the reason they'd be souring on him? Is he's the guy who pushed for that? Because that was an all-in move that just did not work.
Yeah, here's the thing, and this is what's interesting, is I really do believe that Kyle Shanahan makes the final decision on everything. And I hearken back to the very first press conference that they had with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, where, John Lynch said, well, I control the 90, Kyle controls the 53, but really it's written into our contract that Kyle's a part of everything. And I'm like, okay, so basically Kyle controls everything. Like he has last say. And multiple times John Lynch publicly has come out and said, oh, we really believe in this guy. It was Kyle's guy, though. I kind of deferred to him. It's almost like him saying, I don't believe in this player, but, Kyle really did, and that's why he's here. And that's him putting it out there publicly in case something doesn't go right. I remember him saying that with Trey. I remember him saying that with a few other players. But he does kind of make sure to say, hey, this is Kyle's guy, or, this is so-and-so's guy. But we all agree, like, this is, he's a Niner, and we're happy to have him. So.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had, man. That's my main takeaways from it. I'm much more excited about the Jets. Without Trent, I was worried against their defense, but with him, I don't know. They seem like they're just going down the tank with all off-season stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The Jets have had themselves an offseason as well. You talk about it. The 49ers having some drama this offseason. The Jets have had plenty of their own. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it plays out on Monday.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You as well. Peace.
Later. Yeah, it's always nice to talk to somebody from where I came from. I saw somebody ask how I'm a Blazers fan. It's because I grew up in Portland. I lived there for 35 years. So you got me, man. You got me for sure. All right. We're going to go to Eric, and then level 7. I see you. I'm going to throw the link in the chat. You can go ahead and hit that and come back stage, and then I'll pull you onto the screen. All right. We're going to go to Eric. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Jesse? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing really good.
Nice. Yeah, so last time I called in...
Hold on. Actually, before you get into it, I got to say, you are so funny in the comments section. Like, dude, yeah. What did you say this morning? Somebody was like, oh, Jesse, I didn't know that you had hair. And then you were like, yeah, he has the type of hair that your girlfriend says you don't got to worry about that guy or something like that.
Well,
that
that's
had
a
me
meme. It's like,
up.
yeah, he's got that kind of hair that your girl says not to worry about this guy. Yeah.
That was funny.
And then somebody else asked you where you got that clock from. I don't know if you remember what I said to that.
I remember you said something. You're talking about this thing here, but I
Yeah, I
forget
said you
exactly what
won
your
in an
response was.
arm wrestling tournament,
Oh,
but we all kind of expected that you were going to beat all those guys in the retirement home anyway. So, congratulations on
nice.
that one. You really, you really mopped the floor with Grandpa to win that thing in that arm wrestling tournament. So, good job on that one.
Yeah,
But,
I'm proud of that one too.
Yeah, no, I bet. I mean, you broke all their arms. It was amazing to see.
But yeah, your last call. You were talking about your last call.
Last call, I did my season predictions. This call, I'd like to do my quarterback rankings.
All right, let's do it. Top 10. You gonna give me top 10?
I can go.
Or are you gonna give me up until Brock?
I got it all. Well, I don't know if we have enough time for all that, but
just be fast. And if I think you're off on something, I'll question you. Go ahead.
I already know. I'm not going to make it through 2 picks without you thinking I'm off, but it's all right. I know you love Josh Allen. Okay, so number 1, obviously, has got to be Patrick Mahomes. If anyone else calls in and says they want to do quarterback rankings, if they have anyone other than Patrick Mahomes as number 1, you can just end the call right there. Just say, listen, number 2 through 32 got to be invalid. If you got to admit Patrick Mahomes number 1. So Mahomes number 1.
Then you're gonna go Burrow.
Number 2 on my quarterback rankings is CJ Stroud. Obviously, we can all agree on that. No argument there. So I got CJ Stroud as
number 2
quarterback in the entire NFL. CJ Stroud. And if you remember last week, I picked the Texans to win the Super Bowl. So not too
I do.
surprising.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Stroud at number 2. I got Joe Burrow number 3.
Okay.
I got Justin Herbert number 4. All right, now you'll be now I got one for you. We got Josh Allen number 5. I know. You're gonna want to flip those around a little bit, but this is my ranking for now at least. I got number 6 Matthew Stafford, number 7 Lamar Jackson. Then we got Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa. Number 12, I have Jordan Love. Number 13, Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Number 14, Caleb Williams. Number 15, Trevor Lawrence. Number 16, Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Number 17.
All right, let's stop right there. So we got a minute 45. Sure. Okay. So I've said in the past that if you have Brock anywhere from 10 to 14, I think you can make an argument for it. I personally have him at 10. I got to say this. I don't have time to go through the whole list. I obviously disagree
of course.
vehemently on a lot of these. But
yeah, that's fair.
One thing I don't understand that I just can't get behind, and from a talent aspect, Caleb Williams has all the tools. I get that. But I cannot rank a player who hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL above players that have actually proven to do something in the NFL at the very least.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's obviously a projection when you're talking about.
And you're not as crazy. By the way, you're not as crazy. Like Nick Wright, loves Caleb Williams, which, all right, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously after he plays his first season, I got CJ Stroud number 2 after one season. If Caleb Williams has a dominant rookie season, he's gonna be higher than number 14 next year. Obviously, it's a projection when you're talking about a rookie, but I think that's lists like this. It's all opinion based anyway. It's all about projecting. Because it's a team sport. It's really hard to rank, quarterbacks. This ain't tennis, this ain't golf. They're not playing one-on-one. It's a team sport. It's kind of hard. How do you evaluate? I got Trevor Lawrence ahead of Brock Purdy. Now, I'm sure Purdy's stats are better. He obviously has more wins, obviously clearly more playoff wins. But it's just, that's my projection based off the team around him. I think if you put Trevor Lawrence on this team with George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk, I think Trevor Lawrence could do just as well, if not maybe a little bit better than Brock Purdy. So, it's obviously interpretive. Some of it is based off, playoff performance. It's why, I don't really, Dak, I got barely in the top 10. I'm sure a lot of people might have Dak top 5. I got Lamar behind Matt Stafford for that reason. I think Matt Stafford is more reliable in the playoffs. Some of them were close, like with Herbert and Allen. For me, the difference in some of those is the turnovers. I think Josh Allen just turns it over a little bit more. My preference to be Justin Herbert. I just think he protects the ball a little bit better. Maybe get a little more production out of Josh Allen, but I think the extra turnovers mitigate that production to an extent. I mean, I still got him top 5. But a lot of these guys are splitting hairs. Some of them, I could easily flip them around. I really wouldn't, have an issue with it. Like I got Jordan Love ahead of Baker Mayfield, but I could see that going the other way as well. So some of them are close, but for me, a lot of it comes down to protecting the ball, not turning the ball over, how well they play in the playoffs, and then how overly productive can they be, on their own. Not just like getting carried by the rest of the team, not playing on a stacked team, but what can this quarterback do on their own? That's kind of how I base my rankings.
Yeah, I think everybody has different things. Like I said, I definitely disagree, but I think as long as you can talk your way through it, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's clear to me that you rely on physical tools, or prefer, not rely, but prefer physical tools, which is fine. Also, real quick, Tua above Purdy baffles me a little bit too, but I got 3 callers I got to get through, and I got to get my kids to bed, so I want to make sure I give them time. We'll talk about it more later because I am curious to hear about this a little bit more.
Okay, we'll do the second half of my list next time.
All right, sounds good, brother. Later.
All right, take care.
There's nothing about Tua that I can't with Tua. Now, if Tua was at 16, I would totally understand that. I don't think Tua does anything better than Brock personally, and a lot of those guys around him either. All right, we're gonna go to level 7, Monza, and then Terry, and then that's how we're gonna round it out. What's up, level 7?
Yo, what's good, Jesse? How you doing, man?
Doing really good, man. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm good, bro. I don't know if you remember me. I'm the Cardinals fan, bro. I actually posted a little bit of Cardinals content.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I do remember you. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So you already know what I'm on here to talk about. But what I really wanted to talk about, what I think a lot of people are overlooking when it comes to the 49ers and why I think you guys are going to take a step back this year is because I think when I look at the 49ers, you guys kind of remind me of the Cardinals a couple, and you guys remind me of like your culture is really bad right now. And nobody is talking about that. Like your culture, like every report that I've seen this offseason, like it's like the Cardinals a couple years ago. Every single report is negative. It's been negative the entire offseason. I feel like you guys are overlooking that and how that can actually affect the play on the field. I feel like
let me ask you this, level 7, and
Okay.
and I've talked about this a little bit actually.
Okay.
And I was even at training camp, and I talked about how the feeling at training camp was like, it was like something was missing. Last year, the vibe at training camp was, this is the best team in football. They believe they can win a Super Bowl, and you felt that by being in the stands. This year, the vibe was way off. Something was off. Maybe it was the Aiyuk situation. I don't know, but the vibe was off. I don't know how to quantify the Super Bowl hangover, but I kind of get the feeling like if in hindsight we look back at 10 weeks into the season and it's not going as planned, it's like, in hindsight, you don't know how to quantify the Super Bowl hangover, but that was kind of it. Like, do you think that might be it? It's a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover type thing, and even though we can't necessarily quantify it, that what they're going through right now could possibly be related to that a little bit?
Let me say what I think the 49ers problem right now is, in my opinion. I think your culture is based on winning. And that may sound like counterintuitive, but it's like you're going to lose games. So when you lost that big game, like when you can bounce back from losing games in the regular season and be perfectly fine, right? But when you guys lost the Super Bowl, that took a bigger morale hit than losing in the regular season, which would make it harder to bounce back. Since your culture is based on winning, which is not necessarily a bad thing, you losing a game like that is going to be way harder to recover because that's what your culture is based off of. That's why when I look at the future outlook, even for the teams this season, in terms of the NFC West and the culture, in terms of the culture shifting, I don't understand why people are high on the Seahawks, because when I look at the Seahawks, it's like a lot of people are just giving them the benefit of the doubt, but it's like it's a completely new system, new OC, new DC. A lot of things are new. Like I think they're gonna have a slow year. I think give them a couple years and they're gonna be good. But when I'm gonna talk about the Cardinals last, but now let me talk about the Rams. I think the Rams have a pretty good culture. Sean McVay, I think everything is going right. But when I look at the Niners, their culture is just bad right now. It's not in a good spot. And the Cardinals, everybody is overlooking us, but I think what people tend to overlook when it comes to football is how much culture and like chemistry plays a part in how good your team actually is. That plays a big role. Like it's more than X's and O's. It's more than the guys that you have on the field. It's how that team plays together. That's important. That's why like if you see a lot of Cardinals fans being super hyped about the team this year, it's really because when you watch the interviews or you watch how every coach speaks about the team, you'll see that it's all in union. Like everybody has the same exact message. Everybody is on the same page. And that's why I think a lot of Cardinals fans are higher on the Cardinals than the census of NFL fans. And that's why I personally think that when it comes to the Niners, you guys are going to have a down year. I think you're going to have a down year, and I think you guys might have to rebuild because now you just paid Trent Williams $83 million for the next 3 years, and you're going to have to cut some guys. And I don't know how the future looks for you guys, but I think Kyle
Let me
Shanahan
let me ask you this. Let me
Okay,
ask you this. When you say down year, what does down year look like though? Does down year still making the playoffs, but they lose in the divisional round, which I think a lot of teams would be happy with? Obviously, we wouldn't be happy with that. Or does that mean like they just don't make the playoffs at all? Like how down are we talking?
You guys have too good of a roster. I mean, if you guys miss the playoffs like completely, that's horrific. But one thing that I think could hurt you guys is Christian McCaffrey like ran the ball like 40 times a game last year. So if he's doing that again this year, I think when it comes to the 49ers, people tend to overlook the fact that Christian McCaffrey was the MVP for that team last year. It's always every time I hear everybody talking about the 49ers, is Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that. Like, yeah, people give Christian McCaffrey his flowers, but I feel like he's the afterthought when it comes to that offense. Like, no, it's Christian McCaffrey and then everybody else. That's the 49ers. It's Christian McCaffrey then everybody else. So if he goes down, I think you guys could. But you guys have done it without elite running back. But I think I think you got a down year for you guys is probably going to be like a 9-8 season. But still, yeah. In the future, I don't know how you guys recover. I don't see the future being very bright for the 49ers. Like I don't see it. Like I think you guys are going to have to rebuild.
Listen, I had an unpopular opinion this offseason, and not because I don't think the 49ers can go far, because I can see a world where they would win a Super Bowl, but I'm just trying to live out what's realistic. And I'm looking at like the future salary cap and trying to build around Brock Purdy and his inflating contract and all those things. And for me, I said I would almost rather them tear it down this year and forego the chance to win a Super Bowl, to then by next year, the year after, if you do this right and you draft properly, you've opened up a whole brand new window of 5, 6, 7 years, versus if you hang on a year too long, that sets you back another 2 or 3 years because you're trying to tear it down, but you've got all these big contracts and you've kicked the can down the road, and you kind of can end up like the New Orleans Saints, where it's like you just keep hanging on, but really there's nothing to hang on to. Like the Saints are 5 years into this. I don't know what they're thinking. Anyways, so I agree with you to a certain extent that the future, it's very dicey now if they don't handle things properly. The good news is for the 49ers, I think they just had a killer draft class. Now they're going to have to duplicate that next year in order to keep it going. I can't see a scenario where the 49ers go 9-8 unless it's just a ton of injuries. I could see a scenario where they lose in the divisional round, though. I definitely could. And that would be a major down year for the 49ers.
Yeah.
So real quick, though, before I let you go, are you saying the Cardinals make the playoffs?
Hell yeah. Bro,
let
me tell you this. Because this is another thing, bro. When you look at the Cardinals, like a lot of people are defense, bro. Man. Who is stopping our offense? All right, no, let's do it like this, because I want to put it in perspective for you, Jesse. All right.
Just so you know, I'm going to give you all the glory in the world. I'm going to give you like 30 minutes on the show to gloat if at the end of the season that ends up happening. But right now, dude, come on, man. There's no way.
Bro,
there's no way.
I promise you, bro. I promise you.
All right.
Just look,
all right.
We're going to have the best side in the division next year. James Conner was a top 5 running back last year. Statistically,
Mhm.
it was a top 5 running back. We add the best running back in the draft. We add the best wide receiver in the draft. We got Michael Wilson, who had 30 catches, 500 yards last year, was injured half the season. People underestimate Greg Dortch. They look at him as just a gadget guy. He's not just a gadget guy. He is a legitimate receiver, and you guys will see that Sunday. Not into the year, 5 weeks into the year. Greg Dortch first start. Well, not his first start in his career, but you'll see that Sunday once Greg Dortch gets his shot. You'll understand what type of player he is. The O-line is improved. Kyler Murray being healthy. Kyler Murray is the most talented player in the NFC. In the NFC. And there's no player more talented.
You're talking about pure talent. Pure talent
Yes.
as a quarterback. Pure talent. I could potentially get behind that, just from a pure talent aspect. Yes, but that doesn't make him near the best player. But go ahead.
But if he
How are you guys? Here's my issue with the Cardinals.
Okay.
I think the Cardinals are a year away from being a year away, and the reason I say that is I don't know how you stop other teams from scoring. I don't understand how you're going to consistently generate any sort of pass rush. That's the issue I have. And we know that quarterbacks that aren't pressured, every quarterback plays way better when they're not pressured. Every quarterback in the NFL. And if you can't create consistent pressure, I just don't know how you guys continue to win shootouts. That's my issue with the Cardinals. It's not offensively. I think with Kyler Murray healthy, I think you definitely can score points for sure. I just don't know how you stop other teams from scoring. That's my issue.
That's real good. But all right, this is what I'll say. A lot of guys don't like to hedge their bets. A lot of Cardinals fans like to hedge their bets. I would say,
Mm-hmm.
the Cardinals fan, we're just good enough to do this. Next year's our year. I hate doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to be a little delusional for your team. You feel me?
I love it. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Now's the time to be delusional.
You feel me?
Because reality happens fast. 3 weeks into a season.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Hey, we smashing Josh Allen. But all right, let me say this.
All right. Go ahead. Quick. Make it quick. I got 2 more.
Xavier Thomas in the preseason looked like a legitimate player. Now, if that translates to the regular season, I don't see why it wouldn't. Football is football. He looks legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's playing with his head on fire. We still have Dennis Gardeck and Zaven Collins. Those guys seem like guys, but people tend to forget that was Zaven Collins' first year at outside linebacker last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not it's essentially like he's coming off of his rookie season into his second year as a pass rusher. So it's a lot of unrecognized potential at that position. And in the interior, we added Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols. I don't know if they're going to add any pass rush, but we'll see. Because I would agree with you. I have no idea how we're going to put pressure on the passer. Maybe we add a guy, or maybe some of those guys step up. But if those guys,
all right, that's fair. That's fair. And I like the Zaven Collins moving him outside. I think once upon a time, Hassan Reddick was playing way out of position for the Cardinals, and as soon as they realized he's a pass rusher, that completely changed his game for the better. I mean, he's been a menace in this league. Maybe Zaven Collins can be that, and if he is, then you can generate pass rush. But right now, I think it's dicey. But we'll talk. We'll be talking all season.
For sure.
All right, bro. Have a good one. Later. Hey, listen, I have no problem with people being delusional for their team. And before week 1 is the time to do it. Because like I said, 3 weeks in, it comes at you very fast. All right, we're going to go to Monza and then Terry. And I got 5 minutes with each of you. I got hard stops at 5 minutes because I got to put the kiddos to bed before I got my next show. So what's up, Monza?
Hey, what's happening, man? It's gonna be tough cramming this into 5 minutes because I really don't appreciate the disrespect, man, that the quarterback been getting, man. I can't fathom for the life of me how you can watch Josh Allen play football and put him anywhere outside of the top 3 quarterbacks in this league because production matters. I don't need you to be the best passer. I need you to be the best producer of positive for the offense. He's better at production than Patrick. He is.
I mean, he's scored more points than any quarterback in the last 3 years. That's true.
In the playoffs in the last 3 or 4 years, no one is doing what he does production-wise. His turnovers get cut out and he produces. I really don't know what people are watching. You know,
I
just
listen. I don't either. When it comes to Josh Allen, you know, everybody. Oh, the turnovers. But at the same time, everybody agrees that you want to be playing your best football in the playoffs.
exactly.
And Josh Allen, who, by the way, always leads the league in touchdowns, or is right there. Over the last 3 years, has scored, I think, 6 more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he's turned the ball over probably more than you would like, but not all turnovers are created equally. 4 of his 13 interceptions last year were arm punts on 3rd and long. We all agree that an arm punt down to the 10-yard line is not created equally with throwing a interception in the red zone. And when it comes to the playoffs, we're talking about a guy who has 26 total touchdowns, 7 total turnovers. I don't know how you can watch Josh Allen. By the way, everybody wants to talk about his turnovers last year, but he had, I think, 7 touchdowns in the playoffs in 2 games and 0 turnovers.
Right.
Riddle me that.
Right.
If he's such a turnover machine,
Right.
how does he get to the playoffs and stop turning the ball over?
I can go with you for an hour on this, but we can't. We don't have time. So I want to get some my forecast for the 49ers season, and I'm not very optimistic about it. I really am. I've been trying my best to be optimistic about it, but I just can't bring myself to it because I honestly see a situation. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible we split with everyone in our division.
It's possible. I think it's possible.
You know, and it's possible. I actually expect us to lose week 1. I don't expect us to beat the Jets.
Okay. I disagree, but
we struggle against that defense is good.
It is.
And we struggle, and it's healthy, and we struggle against man-to-man coverage, and they're probably the best at it. And we got to deal with that for 4 quarters. And whether I don't care what you think of Aaron Rodgers, he's got a run game, he's got a defense, so he's got a chance.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't turn the ball over. I will say that about Rodgers.
He doesn't turn the ball over. So if we're playing field position and we're not putting up points, we're not beating that team. Well, is that away or is that away or at home?
No, it's at home. It's at home.
It's at home. Okay, so that might help us out because I know the fans going to be pumped. But I'm not feeling optimistic about that game. Aiyuk missed the whole offseason. You know, Trent missed the whole offseason. I just think that's that type of stuff. Like, they're going to take some time to get warmed up, and we don't need Aiyuk to be able to take time to warm up. We need Aiyuk to have 15 targets this week.
It's going to be tough with Kittle on him.
Aiyuk and Kittle need to be number 1 and number 2 in targets. It doesn't matter who's 1, who's 2, but those are our best weapons against that defense. So I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a close one, and I think it'll be one we'll lose. I think it'll be one of those games that we expected to win that we lose.
I do want to say I'm picking the 49ers to win, but I do want to say this because there is a possibility they lose. I want to caution 49er fans ahead of time in case they do lose. There's a real possibility that with a loss, Brandon Aiyuk doesn't produce much because he's going up against Sauce Gardner. So I'm saying it now, just so I can say I told you, don't go crazy. Brandon Aiyuk's still a really good football player, but don't be getting nasty with Brandon Aiyuk and he wasn't worth it. I knew we shouldn't have paid him, and because I can already hear those takes coming if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do and they lose. Now, if he doesn't do what people expect and they win, nobody's going to say anything. But if the 49ers lose and Brandon Aiyuk has like 2 catches for 14 yards, I can see people just going crazy on Brandon Aiyuk and blaming him and see he's not that good. Why'd they pay him $30 million? I can already see it coming. So don't be that guy is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, you would think that people have noticed by now that the target share isn't determined. It's not predetermined. Well, actually, with Kyle, it's probably more predetermined because it's not with the game flow. The targets aren't going to be based on game flow. Oh, I got a mismatch here. I got a mismatch here. He does not call games like that. He calls games according to his game plan. That's what he does. So you really can't. It's like you can't look at it that way. And I'm not one of those fans that get like that because I'm all about the players getting paid. Because of all 53 players, there's one guy writing a check. So I'm not complaining about him having to write that check. Oh, but one other thing I wanted to touch on. Dang, I just forgot. I remembered it and then forgot. I hate when I do this. Because it was something. It was something that we were talking that was being talked about. Was it? Oh, the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. As you know, I wanted to trade Kyle, and I wanted to keep D'Amico as the head coach. I don't know if you remember that take.
I do remember that.
I would trade Kyle, and I would keep D'Amico because of the culture and because I know D'Amico can get 53 players ready to run through a wall. Here's the problem with this last report that came out about getting rid of John Lynch and heads are going to roll, which I honestly think is BS. Because I think Jed is afraid of himself. I think he's afraid to have to pick another head coach. So I think Kyle's leash is so long, it's absolutely ridiculous. And if you sign Brock Purdy to a 4-year deal, you have to keep Kyle for the entire duration of the contract. Because you can't guarantee that a head coach is even going to want him, and then you're not going to want to get out of the way of the money anyway. So when you sign Brock, you are marrying Kyle. And you're giving it 4 years. Look, man, I can get off into that, and I can get off into that contract, but Brett Favre without the Rocket, I'm not paying $55 million for that.
That's not a good combination. I saw you on Twitter, and you saw my response. That is not a good combination. But all right, Monso, we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon.
No doubt.
All right, man. Later. All right, let me hit these supers real quick, and then we'll get to Terry. We got Cryptic coming in. He says, I know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and we need to get his protection. That's why Trent is so important to the Niners when other teams who won Super Bowls recently haven't had caliber of player Trent is. Staley, top 5, and Trent, but no Super Bowl. Still, yeah, man, it's about units. I think Tom Brady talked about it, how important the offensive line unit is. Kansas City, I mean, they've got a very good offensive line. You look at the final 3 of the final 4 teams had elite offensive lines last year. The only team that didn't was the 49ers. Now, they made it to a Super Bowl, but they're the exception. They're not the rule. They are the exception. But without Trent, I mean, there's just no hope. That's the worst offensive line in football, and it's not particularly close, I don't think. Dez, it says, how could the Niners players feel confident? They've lost 2 Super Bowls to the same team, with both times having an overall more talent and a double-digit lead late in the game. Yeah, I think it would be tough, especially in that scenario if they play the Chiefs again. I think that's why playing the Chiefs in the regular season, listen, that game doesn't mean much to the Chiefs, but it means everything to the 49ers. If they cannot beat the Chiefs in the regular season and they make it back to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I just can't pick them to win that game. I can't. And I picked them to win it last year. And maybe they can make it and they won't play the Chiefs and it won't matter. But they have to beat the Chiefs in the regular season if they want any semblance of confidence. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. It's not. It's the same thing I said about Dallas and San Francisco last year. Dallas had to beat the 49ers if they wanted to have any semblance of confidence in the regular season. That game meant almost nothing to the 49ers from a morale standpoint. It meant everything to Dallas. That's the way the Chiefs and the 49ers matchup is. Dave Barclay says, had to grab a haircut real quick, but we both listened. But I'm not feeling super optimistic either. Players seem disheartened. Glad Trent is back, but other teams got better. Did we get better as a whole? I don't know that you can say the 49ers got better. I think the hope is that nobody closed the gap. And the players are the same. A lot of the players are the same, but year to year things change. And teams and players can get better or worse year to year. Usually as you age, you're probably not getting better. The 49ers are aging, but maybe they did get better year to year, some of those players. So I don't know for sure, but just like on paper, no, they haven't gotten better. All right, Terry 49er.
What's up, my guy? How you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Whatchamacallit, I'm excited for the season. Yeah. I could feel the fire, I guess, that excitement, that angst, that kind of feeling. And what I wanted to bring up was, for the life of me, I cannot understand why people put Justin Herbert in their top 5. I'm sorry.
I've got him number 5.
You have him number 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you name me? Well, how about this? Can you tell me why he's number 5? Like, why do you think he's a top 5 quarterback?
Well, I think from a talent aspect, there's no arguing what Herbert is. And you look at what he did the first 3 years. A lot of people want to talk about wins and how the team has done nothing. And of course, that ultimately falls back on the quarterback. But, you look at his first 3 years in the league, and nobody in the history of the NFL, not Patrick Mahomes, not Allen, not Marino, nobody scored more points than he did his first 3 seasons. Unfortunately for him, no team, no defense had given up more in the history of the league the first 3 years. So he was literally spinning in circles. Like, how do you outscore a defense that is the worst in NFL history through 3 years for any quarterback to start their career? Even if you are the team that scores more than anybody else, it still wasn't enough.
And you mean to tell me that we hired their head coach who's supposed to be a defensive expert?
Well,
are you kidding me right now?
But to be
come on, man.
To be fair, being a defensive coordinator is different. To be fair, is different than being a defensive coordinator than it is a head coach. But yeah, listen, I get it. Yes, he was a part of that. He was.
I mean, come on, bro. Look. I think you made a good, solid argument. But the main premise of my point was the fact that I don't really like this disrespect that's going on with Brock Purdy. And it's just super everybody's just gotten super comfortable with it. And it's just in general with the quarterback position. What I don't like about the criticism of former players and fans of the game is that if you're not this upper echelon, top 5 generational quarterback, then you're just useless. For example, Dak Prescott. The guy may not be a top 5, top 6, top 8, whatever quarterback you want, whatever you want to say. He's still a really good freaking quarterback.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Though he hasn't put them over the hump, that still doesn't refute his talent. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like that's one of the frustrating things about this, especially as a Niner fan, because you either see Brock Purdy I think you had the 2 callers ahead of me. Put Brock Purdy at 16. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm sorry, but there's not 15 quarterbacks better than the guy that was in the freaking Super Bowl last year.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
It's just I just don't like that disrespect. But I was also gonna say that, like, this whole Brandon Aiyuk situation, obviously it's all peachy keen now, but I just didn't like it, in terms of the way that BA had handled it. I'm always for players getting paid. That is my number one thing when it comes to players. But when players start to say, hey, you can't trade me there and you can't trade me there, I don't like that. I don't think that they should be dictating where they can and cannot get traded, because that is just an impossible situation to be in, because it's most likely that good teams that you want to go to can't trade for you, because those good teams have high salary numbers. They most likely have a really good receiver. They most likely have a really good quarterback. They most likely have a really good, O-line. And I just didn't like that. And I think that this is hopefully this is just a, this year thing. Hopefully it doesn't happen next year for any other team. But if it does, I hope the league steps in and kind of does something about it, because I didn't think it was okay.
Yeah, I think it's tough, right? Because I'm a advocate of the players. You got billionaire owners paying millionaires, and they just don't have a lot of leverage. Like, teams can literally move on from players at any time, and players can't do much about it. So when they have the opportunity to have any sort of leverage, it's like I would be hard pressed to take away the little amount of leverage that players have in these situations and be like, now you can't do that either. Because then it's like, all right, so I'm just like, I have to be on this team no matter what. I don't really have a choice. Like, if I'm a talented player and I get drafted to a really bad dysfunctional organization, bare minimum, if I was drafted in the first round, they keep me for 7 years and I can't do anything about it. So now I'm 30 years old and I got to go out here and try to get paid. Like, I don't think that would be fair either. You know what I mean? So you do have to take that into account. I want to respond real quick, and I do have to let you go because I gotta get these kids to bed. But I also want to say the Brock Purdy thing, and I was having a conversation with somebody on Twitter that was very similar to this. Like, I don't understand the hate for Brock Purdy. But what you just did is what most people do, where they come in, they discredit another player who's done it for a while and played really, really well, like Justin Herbert. And then in the same breath say, I don't like it when Brock Purdy is discredited. I guess my point is it's totally okay to have an opinion on who Justin Herbert is or any quarterback.
Right.
But every quarterback gets questioned. Tom Brady won multiple Super Bowls and people still didn't know if he was the guy there. So I guess we just have to let it play out. The career will be what the career is. And at some point, if Brock Purdy is who people think he is, you'll be able to scream from the mountaintops. Like, now what are you going to say? He has multiple Super Bowls. You know, he's got MVP awards. He's got XYZ. Lamar, this same fan base, I watch in the chat on a regular basis, discredits Lamar Jackson up and down this chat. He has 2 MVP awards, 2-time MVP of this league, and people say he's not good enough. So what I guess the point is that all quarterbacks go through this. We're in a bubble where we're isolated and we think it's a Brock Purdy thing. Really, it's an NFL quarterback thing. That's all I'm trying to say.
No. All right, bro. Well, I think basically your point is what I'm not a fan of is what I'm doing exactly. So
but everybody, but listen, no, everybody does it though. Everybody does. This is not an isolated incident. Everybody does it. My overall point is every quarterback isn't the guy until he's the guy. So Brock Purdy over time will prove it, and then it is what it is. Like, there won't really be an argument if he is truly the guy. Well, there will be a day where Brock Purdy gets his, is what I'm saying.
All right, man. Appreciate you. You have a good night.
All right, brother. Have a good one. You too. All right, let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, I think we're good. All right, y'all. So listen, 30 minutes. Go over to Roundtable Sports if you can, if you got time. Support NFC West Roundtable. I'll be live with Cardinals fan, Rams fan, Seahawks fan. I want to load that chat with 49ers. That's where I get to just be a fan of the 49ers and talk a lot of trash to the other fan bases. So it's a lot of fun for me, but I need your support. For some reason, that chat is filled with Rams fans and Seahawks fans, and I want to turn that around. So 30 minutes, if you can, head over to Roundtable Sports, NFC West Roundtable. Check it out. Go in there, talk your ish. Come support your boy. We'll talk soon. Much love. Peace.